had sent him to, actually, he had been to a terrorist camp, right? That's the story. And of course, as we're talking about summer camp, what kind of a parent would send their kid to a terrorist camp, but whatever, he did, and this was the result, and of course, the phenomenon was that he was on the plane, almost ready to go to Dubai, and they called him back from the gate, and how could this guy get on the plane? I mean, I can't even get a pair of tweezers on the plane, and this guy is a terrorist, and he's on his way out of town. Whatever, that was exciting New York. New York's a very exciting town. They had Ahmadinejad was there last week for one day, or for a couple days actually, right? So finally, Michael Bloomberg was not the smallest dictator in the streets of New York. There was somebody there who could set him up. And New York's great. You can now go to Brooklyn and get yourself a $12 cup of coffee, okay? Yeah, that has apricot and pear and kiwi and lemon, okay? So on the inside is this coffee, and of course on the outside is some idiot who's ready to spend $12 for a cup of coffee. But okay, New York is full of excesses, right? And of course, right as we speak, the big news is this oil slick, and so it's an oil slick the size of Rhode Island in the Gulf. You're familiar with this? You guys saw it in the news, okay? I know. I always thought that an oil slick the size of Rhode Island was New Jersey, right? Isn't that what we usually think of when we think of New Jersey? But anyway, there's like this 210,000 gallons of oil spewing forth each day, right? Enough for, say, 10 buckets of Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's really not all that much. And then, of course, the oil companies say, don't worry, we're going to clean it up. I don't know if you've ever been to a gas station restroom, but they don't do much of a cleanup job really themselves. This week, actually it was last week, right, was also the 40th anniversary of Earth Day, right? You recall this sort of fuzzy notion, Well, I don't know if you guys know, I never heard your real age, but when you get to your 40s, your equators start to expand, and your polars start to melt and look like Uranus, but it's really not a lot of fun to be 40s. And of course, one of the themes of this year's Earth Day was recycled plastic, okay? Now, for most of the world, recycled plastic doesn't mean too much, but of course in Beverly Hills, where they wrote this all up, it means marrying your ex-wife, that's the ultimate in recycling plastic. And of course, all the environmentalists said, "Oh, look what we're doing! We risked our lives by driving these Priuses, these Toyota cars. Everyone does their shtick for Environmental Day. But I mean, like we need protection from the environment. What with the hurricanes and the earthquakes and the mudslides, and the volcanoes. Maybe it's like us who need protection from the environment. And if you heard this, volcano started picking up again tonight. It's really weird. Nobody really knows how this is going to end. But if I say anything profound tonight, it's the last time this particular volcano happened, it was 1823, and it lasted for 2 years. Okay, and they didn't have planes then, so it was a big difference. And of course the airlines are losing. They lost like about $3 billion on this one. I don't know. Whenever I fly, all they lose is my luggage. But I mean, how could you lose $3 billion on it? This is like, why does United Airlines now charge $40,000 a bag, for your carry-on luggage? They got to make up that $3 billion. But whatever. And of course, this week they also had a survey on why do airline passengers get sick, okay, and the reality is that, they go through this complicated process, but really all you'd have to do is just count how many people ate the food, and you'd know how many people were sick on the airline, And there are all sorts of responses out of this volcano, how are we going to stop it? Okay, so the Democrats say, well, let's just pour some money down, that sounds like the most responsible thing to us. And of course the Iranian clerics say, well, this volcano is a response to the immodest dress of Western women. Okay, most guys say, well, that sounds like a good trade-off. We're ready to spend on that, But it was a good time for all, and whatever. The funniest moment in this whole, the last round of the volcano was then the British sent this fleet of ships over to France to bring back their compatriots. And what happened? Of course, the French surrendered. I mean, whatever. It's almost to be expected. And then, yeah, I mean, there was so much ash that the Catholic Church didn't know what they had done wrong, okay? I don't know if you guys are following this Catholic Church scandal. It's really ugly, you know. I really long for that time, you know, when the Catholic jokes were so much simpler, you know, the Catholic kid says to his Jewish friend, you know, my priest is so much funny and so much smarter than your rabbi. Of course, and the Jewish kid says, yeah, sure, you tell him everything, you know. Or the girl, you know, Christina goes in and she says, Father, I've sinned. And he says, what'd you do? She says, I had sex before marriage. He says, okay, $5 in the collection box. 5 Hail Marys, you're done your sin. She goes out. Jennifer comes in and she says, Father, I've sinned. He says, what'd you do? She says, I had sex before marriage. He says, okay, $5 in the collection box. 5 Hail Marys, you're done your sin. And then a while later, Billy comes in and he says, Father, I've sinned. And the priest says, what'd you do? He says, I had sex before marriage. And the priest says, well, was it with Christina? Oh, Father, I can't tell you that. And the priest says, well, was it with Jennifer? And, oh, come on, Father, I can't tell you that. So the priest says, okay, $5 in the collection box, 5 Hail Marys, you're done your sin. He goes out. His friend says, well, what happened? What happened? And Billy says, look, for $5 I got 2 hot leads. You know, that's the... I mean, those are the Catholic jokes of our youth, right? Or the other one, I'm sure you've heard. It's a good one, though. It's the... the priest says to the rabbi, well, why don't you watch our do confession booth? Okay, so they sit down, and the first parishioner comes in, and she says, Father, I've sinned. And he says, what'd you do? She says, I was unfaithful to my husband. He says, how many times? She says, 3 times. And he says, okay, $5 in the collection box, 5 Hail Marys, you're absolved of your sins. Okay, second parishioner comes in. Father says, what'd you do? She says, I sinned. What'd you do? I was unfaithful. How many times? 3 times, $5 in the collection box. 5 Hail Marys, you're absolved of your sins. Okay, she goes out, and the priest turns to the rabbi and says, listen, why don't you try this piece of cake? Okay, the rabbi sits down, you know, and the parishioner comes in, and she says, Father, he says, I've sinned. He says, what'd you do? She says, I was unfaithful. And the rabbi says, how many times? She says, 2 times. So the rabbi doesn't know what to say. He says, look, we're having a special today, 3 for $5. Why don't you not do it again? Whatever, these are ancient jokes, but I mean, it was a time when you could relate, not this sordid pedophilia that's just beyond belief. Anyway, back to the topical stuff is that, of course, you know, all the economies are tanking, right? And in Euro, certainly in Greece, right, they replaced the Euro with the hero, right? You know, this gyro sandwich and using it, whatever. It's bad news there. And of course in America, the Congress says, okay, you know what, we won't give ourselves a pay raise. Well, a pay raise? They don't even deserve any pay, you know? I mean, what kind of response to a financial scandal is that? And then, of course, the Americans have made a new $100 bill, right? Because, of course, all the old $100 bills are in China, so they need something new to replace that. And then in the corporate world, the Charlie Brown Peanuts logo was bought by Joe Boxer Shorts, okay? Now, when you think, you know, macho underwear, right? What's more macho than, you know, peanuts on your underwear? But, okay, that wasn't my purchase. I wouldn't have spent $175. And of course, this week we had International Dancing Day, okay? Now, you know, when you think of what brings people together internationally, right? I mean, you know, there's 2 great things, obviously. There's Dancing Day, and then there's International House of Pancakes. Sort of international relationships are there. Whatever, and there was a new Kevin Creeline. He's the new Archie Comics gay character. So immediately attacked by conservatives. Here he is, both two-dimensional and gay, you know, nothing that you'd want to associate with. And then there was a guy in Florida who swallowed a bag of marijuana with his double cheeseburger. Well, either they're coming up with some wild meals in McDonald's, or someone's got to worry about what they're doing. And then, of course, this weekend there was a passenger on a Delta airline flight from Paris to Atlanta. Okay, he said, I have a bomb, you know. So, of course, the authorities wanted to haul him off to jail, but Delta said, well, you'll have to pay $15 baggage fee on that, you know. That's their initial response. Yeah, flying is really an awesome thing. Are you guys here recently? When did you last fly?
5 days ago.